In the past year, I've learned how important it actually is to check in with yourself regularly, see how you're doing, and through this process of coming back to yourself regularly to actually get to know who you are, what you like. Just as you check in with loved ones and friends, it's really important to also check in with yourself, and that's not something that we tend to do normally. At least that's something that I never thought of really doing. Today I've cultivated a few things that I do to drop back in with myself, to get to know myself, to connect with myself, with my body. And some of these I do daily, some of these I do whenever I kind of feel like I need a little check-in or I need a little quiet time with myself. So because I mentioned quiet time, I think it is so important to be still in our day-to-day lives. I think we're often in this hustle and bustle of chasing the next thing or working or having this appointment and that appointment, and we are always so busy that we rarely slow down and quiet down and sit in stillness. And I think for a lot of people it is really scary to sit in stillness, because that's when maybe certain thoughts will come up that are scary, or you start having to deal with certain emotions that make you uncomfortable or that are really scary to deal with. And we also just get so much input from the outside world almost 24/7, so much information that flows into our minds that we rarely just sit with ourselves and see what's that like, who we are. And I think it's really important to have that stillness, to recenter, to regather ourselves, and to have this sense of peace. About a year ago, when it was around the time that I actually started therapy, I also started incorporating meditations in the morning, doing a little bit of yoga and meditations and affirmations afterwards. That was kind of my combination. And through meditation, I started to feel into my body. I did really simple body scan meditations, and I became really quiet and started to feel into my body and sensed where I was aching, where I was tense, whether I was hungry. And through quieting down, I also noticed certain emotions that had been there that I didn't notice before. These are all things that my body was trying to communicate with me. But because we're so on the go and so in our heads, we're so disconnected with our body that we don't listen to our bodies, or we kind of forget how to listen, or that we should listen. I even had a meditation where I actually started crying because all these emotions came up that I had just pushed aside, or just in a sense shoved down, because I felt like I didn't have time or the capacity to deal with those emotions. But when I sat down and quieted down, I felt them kind of rush back up, and I was able to feel the emotions fully, but then also to work through them and move past them. I finally had allowed those suppressed emotions to resurface, and it was really therapeutic for me to have let that out. Another way I really love to tune into myself and tune into my body is through yoga, and this is something that I actually do every single day. And it's become so much of a routine that if I don't do it, I actually feel really tense and unsettled and ungrounded. I get to stretch out my body and it doesn't feel as stiff. It is only when you stretched out your body that you notice how stiff you usually feel when you don't do yoga. I personally like to alternate between vinyasa yoga and sometimes also like to incorporate some yin yoga. One is more of a faster paced flow, and the other one is a type of yoga where you hold certain poses for longer and breathe and stretch into those poses. A yoga teacher on YouTube that I've actually been really enjoying is of the channel Bear Female, or The Bear Female. I will link it down below. She has a beautiful playlist of sensual yogas, and it's basically just yoga where you move very intentionally and you really feel back into your body, and you have this connection with yourself, and you come back to yourself, you connect with yourself, and you have this sensuality with yourself. It is definitely a practice with a lot of self-love, and it's something that I could definitely use more of. It is something that I think I used to feel very, very comfortable with, to get to know myself more, to be close to myself emotionally. And I like how these sensual yoga practices really help me to drop into a space that I'm more uncomfortable with, so I'm able to step out of my comfort zone a little more and learn new things about myself. A way that I love to go deeper with my emotions and my thoughts is by journaling. I've always said that journaling is a little bit like free therapy, in the sense that you get to know your thoughts better, or know yourself better, and get to explore your thoughts and your emotions on paper. I feel like when we are writing and through journaling, we are forced to slow down, and through this slowing down process, you can actually really listen to what's going on. I think that's something that we really struggle with, listening to ourselves. For me personally, I've been journaling for quite some time, and it's really helped me gain clarity on certain emotions or certain things that have been going on in my life, or just to clear my mind. Sometimes I feel like it's so loud up here that I just want to clear my mind, have a little peace and quiet, and that's where I will go and journal a little bit. Through journaling, I've also had a few moments where I really got to know myself, or found interesting things out about myself that have been really helpful to know. I'm a big advocate for journaling, and recently I've also started journaling with this Questions to Empower deck by Paper. They're also the ones sponsoring today's video. What I really love about this Question to Empower deck is that I use this as a journal prompt to get to know myself better, and they have really, really awesome questions, sometimes even hard questions that I think we don't tend to think about or journal about, but I think they're definitely important questions to think about. A few questions that I really like is, what is the most courageous thing I have done? We're pretty strict and not very nice often with ourselves, and a question like this, what is the most courageous thing you've done, is something that I think is very positive, and it gets us thinking about nice things, good things, and reminds us of our strengths, of the times where we did something that needed a lot of courage and strength, and those are really positive traits. A question that I think is really deep but really important, for example, to think about is, who do I need to forgive? I really, really love this question. It is, again, something that I don't usually think about, but something that is really important. Is there a certain anger, a grudge that I'm holding unconsciously towards someone? And if I am, that would be a negative emotion that I'm holding that I might not need to be holding onto, that I might want to release. And this is a question that I think is so important, that I really, really want to reflect more upon and journal more on. I've also really loved doing these questions with Johannes. We actually did this over Sunday breakfast. On Sundays, we like to have a bigger breakfast and sit for longer and just chat about life and get to know each other more. And these questions are really, really beautiful to do that. You can do that with a best friend, with a family member. They help you gain so much insight to who you are and where you want to go and what you need to work on, and I think can really change your life. I also want to mention that Paper has an amazing daily goal setter. This is actually really similar to the one that I set up for myself in the beginning of the year, but I guess only better, or with more attention to detail. You can really, really tell that the people who designed the goal setting journal are experts on journals in general. I'm someone that has researched a lot about journals, and this is truly one of the best I've seen. Just the attention to detail, the setup, and all of the options that they have for you to fill out. They really thought of everything. This is like the mother of all journals, and they're so beautiful, so minimalistic, sleek, and I think they look so chic, and they just really help you to get your life together in a way where you have things planned, you have your goals set, you know where you're going. And I think when you have that part of your life sorted and kind of organized, then you can focus in more on other things like connecting with yourself and getting to know yourself more. They even have advice and kind of guidelines on routines and affirmations and how to set good goals. So if you're looking for an amazing journal, this is one I can definitely, with my whole heart, highly recommend. You will not be sorry to have gotten this one. I will leave the link for the journal and the beautiful questions to empower deck down below. Another way I really like to get to know myself better is to actually try something new, try something that is out of my comfort zone. I think learning new things is a great way to get to know yourself, to test your strengths and your weaknesses, see what you're good at, what you actually really enjoy, or what you're not so good at. I think it's always great to know what you're not so good at. Not that you necessarily have to fix that, but just something to know. For example, you can try to start a new hobby. I started baking bread, I think a few years back, and it is something that I didn't think I would love that much, but I started to get really nerdy with baking bread and went down a research hole of how to bake the perfect optimal bread. And this year I am stepping out of my comfort zone and tackling sewing. I want to try to make clothes, and that is something that has also brought me so much joy and so much fun, and it's something I didn't know that I would like this much. So it's always fun to get to know more aspects of yourself. Leaving your comfort zone is always great for growing. So you can try a new sport, try a new genre of music or movies, try a new craft, explore a new corner of your city. Get to know people that you would otherwise not connect with, or learn a new language. These are all things that are a little bit out of our comfort zone because it's unfamiliar, but that's a good thing. Even if you try it out and you don't like it, then you know you don't like that activity, and that's also valuable information. What I also think is so immensely important, that is something that I learned very, very recently, only a few weeks ago, is how important it is to connect with your inner child and to connect with your inner wisdom, your intuition, and to drop into that and to listen. I believe that in every single one of us there is this inner child that has so much creativity and wisdom, or you can call it intuition. And the only difference between people who seem to be creative and people who don't seem to be creative is that the creative ones are listening to their inner child, they're listening to their creativity, and they're letting that in, they're welcoming that into their lives. I think everyone can be really creative and everyone can listen to their inner child. You just have to want to connect with it, to listen to it, to celebrate it. If you spend time with children, at least that's what I found, is that they have this vivid imagination. There's so much creativity, and that blows my mind. And I don't believe that once you grow up, that creativity or that sense of imagination goes away. I think it's still there, but we are educated in a way where we don't believe that creativity and that imagination is that valuable. So we start to kind of lose track of it or push it aside. And as we grow up and go this academic route, we go so much more into our head instead of staying true to our heart. And with growing up, we felt like we needed to silence that creativity and that intuition. Our society celebrates logic and thinking, and not so much intuition or having a certain hunch. That is not something that is considered reliable or a good source to fall back on. Wisdom or your intuition is something that I've been really working on these past few weeks, is to connect with my inner intuition and to listen when I feel like my intuition is speaking, and to trust those instincts that we do have, because I do believe that they're there for a reason and that there is truth behind them. But we get so stuck in our head a lot of the times that we, again, don't listen to our intuition speaking. I think we will be able to live so much more of a balanced life if we can step a little bit more out of our heads and more into our bodies and into our intuition or inner wisdom, our inner child. And lastly, in the spirit of connecting with yourself, getting to know yourself, resetting, I like to take care of my body. Something that I've been incorporating more of is a sense of touch with myself, like a simple massage on the neck. If you feel like your neck is tense, maybe just feel that out with your fingers and give yourself a little massage. Speak to your body with kindness, nourish your body with nourishing foods that are good for you. Drop into your body and heal psychological wounds. Also something that I used to do so much more of, but I don't do as much, but I want to reintroduce is dancing. And I don't mean dancing in any specific way, but just moving your body and to get the blood flowing and to have your body produce all these happy hormones. I am someone that is very awkward and self-conscious when it comes to dancing, especially when I know or feel like someone is watching. But to just be by yourself and just dance your little heart out, let that inner child out. And it's not about how it looks, it's just about moving freely to whatever, the music or music in your head even, or a song that you might be singing. And it is so liberating and it feels so good, and again helps us connect with our inner child. That I feel like it's something that I recommend to anyone and everyone. But these were some of the things that I do to reconnect with my body and with myself and get to know myself and just rebalance, recenter, reset. And I feel like sometimes I'm getting too stuck in my head, too stressed. I like to come back into my body and myself and to feel what it's like to be alive. I hope these ideas were helpful and interesting to you. Is it something that you pursue to drop into yourself, to get to know yourself more, or is it something that is pretty new to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your experiences in the comments down below. If you liked this video and enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. And again, thank you to Mount Paper for sponsoring today's video. The links for the amazing journal and the empowerment deck are down below. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.